Hi, I'm Dan. Thanks for checking in on Dimgaard. Special thanks to the folks who are backing the current Kickstarter. You can find that by going to Kickstarter.com and searching for Dimgaard. Also to the folks who are backing or patrons of the Patreon. So a couple of weeks ago, I had mentioned that I was going to start doing a weekly Q&A. I expected to send that out and get those published on Friday. Clearly, I'm behind on that. I have gotten a few emails and a couple of comments with questions that I want to post or that I want to respond to. That's just going to take me. So I may try to get these out more frequently than on Friday. We'll see. But I have a good one on cue here. So off we go. I see you. This is from Jim, by the way. I see you often assert that Dimgaard rigorously follows the rules as written, and it is one of your principles published in various media. But you use skills challenges in almost every module, and skills challenges are not a part of 5th edition. How do you reconcile that? Right, so first of all, thank you, Jim. I get the impression that you're probably not actually a fan. It seems like you're trying for a little gotcha there, right? And I understand that. You probably have taken umbrage at something I posted about how the hardbacks don't follow the adventuring day or the rules as written, and wow, the Adventure League stuff is, just completely ignores it, right? And you took umbrage with that. You didn't like that. You considered that to be a slight in some way. So I understand. I understand where you're coming from, but I still appreciate the question because this is a good question, and I welcome all that. Even if you're hostile to me, even if you disagree with something I've posted somewhere and want to confront that. That's a perfectly valid use of this resource, and I encourage any of you out there in the ether who have Jim's same disposition to the same. Maybe I'm being hypersensitive. Maybe Jim is 100% a fan and is just wholly curious, and this is not an attempt to make me question the validity of the statements I've made. All right, so into the specifics of the skills challenges. All right, so Jim is right, and I agree with this, that skills challenge are not expressly a part of 5th edition. And for the first couple of years, we did not include skills challenges in our modules. Just didn't think about them. They were part of 4th edition. We didn't do much writing in 4th edition. I did a lot of writing in 3.5, but not so much in 4th edition, which is when skills challenges really kind of came into their own. So when I came back into writing heavily, I didn't even think about it until Matt Colville did a video on them that persuaded me to take a close look at them. I think there was maybe an article by the Angry DM that was coincident with that reinforced that. I don't know. I can't remember the details of that. Maybe. So if the Angry DM did, I want to give him credit for that. He does a great series. And right. So I did take a look at it, and I don't see that skills challenges are a variation from the rules as written in 5th edition, the way that we use them in the Dimgaard adventures. The way we use them in Dimgaard adventures is, and we do use them now in almost everyone. Almost everyone will have a skills challenge. I usually constrain myself to one because I really like them, and I'll get into why in a second. And there are lots of times I'm tempted to put 3 or 4 in there, which would be, wow, that would be a heavy skills challenge adventure. I may do it, I may have a real skills heavy adventure that uses skills. But anyway, right, so what do I mean by that? What do I mean that it's not contrary to the rules as written, even though it's not expressly a part of 5th edition? Right, so what we use them for in Dimgaard is we're building an adventuring day. And part of that adventuring day, in order to get it into the 4-hour session that we have a target for, is there are just going to be times when we need to be very efficient in presenting our encounters, right? And we've been doing that for a long time, right? We present traps in kind of an expanded form, in an expanded form that we call hazards. And we expand those so that they have the same resource tax and effect as a medium, usually actually a hard encounter, right? And we do that because they can be administered quickly, like within 5 minutes, right? It's like, boom, the party encounters a disease. This has this effect, and you need to recover from it, and then we'll move on, right? And it's a dramatic moment. It could be a disease. It could be Razorvine. It could be Spellglyph was triggered. They're just indefinite, the number of things that can happen. It could be a stampede of giant elk, right? The hazards, they have a quick hit, impose an effect, and then we recover and move on, and it takes like 6-7 minutes. And we do that so that we can get in that 6+ encounters in an adventuring day in a single 4-hour session. So when we look at skills challenges, what I'm looking at is I'm saying, okay, here is a situation that can cover a significant amount of in-game time, right? And it is going to comprise several events, right? So, for example, you are trying to locate the hag's secret lair in a town, right? So, in that, to achieve that goal, it's going to take several hours in game, and you're going to have a lot of little things that happen along the way. You could have some big things that happen along the way. That could be the entire focus of the adventure, right? Is finding that hag's lair. But if you're like, no, that's not really the point of the adventure. The point of the adventure is to beat the hag, right? Finding the hag is something that's going to take several hours in game, but I really want it to be like a montage scene, right? I want it to be like a series of easy encounters that occur over the course of several hours, right? So, they're looking for the hag, and a wagon comes, and the hag engineers a runaway wagon to do some damage, or imposes, or more likely, every hour that the search takes, the hag releases a curse that does a little bit of damage, like an easy encounter, but not a big wham like you do with the hazards, which are equivalent to a hard encounter. So when we look at it in that scope, from that perspective, what we're doing in Dimgaard is we're saying, look, we've got these set of tightly coupled events that create this part of the story, and we're going to efficiently deliver those events, each of which is going to be an easy encounter. But we want there to be like 3 or 4 of them, right? And we want to build a story around those encounters, right? And if you look at the skills challenges we present, that's what they do, right? So for example, the adventure that's in this month's Kickstarter, where the PCs have gotten into Tefarmus, now then they've got to get across the city and into the sanctuary of Torm. And they've already had a couple of big encounters, right? They had a random encounter coming in with some wyverns. They had to do something to get through the gates or over the wall. That's going to involve a significant patrol of the Tefarmus Watch. There are spellglyphs guarding that wall that probably are triggered, and is going to be so we don't want the traverse from having gotten past the wall to reaching the sanctuary in the heart of Topharmus, to be another 3 big encounters, right? What we want is we want a montage scene, right? It's like, how are you going, you've got past the walls, now you're kind of skulking through the city. Tell me what your character does to help the party reach there with as little, as efficiently as possible, with as few ramifications as possible, right? And you've got to achieve 3 group check successes. How is your character going to, well, I'm great at stealth, so I'm going to direct the party. How are we going to sneak around these corners and stuff? And the other one is like, well, no, I have the persuasion necessary, that I can, an insight that I can seek out potentially friendly residents who will help us and aid us, right? That's how I'm going to contribute to that group check, right? And then you say, okay, it's going to take, X, it's going to take 3 successes to do that. Three, and a success is a DC 20, or a group check that is 20 or more, with each 5 above that contributing a second success. You say, oh, and by the way, as part of making each of that, there's going to be this damaging effect that you have triggered as part of that. You stumbled onto a spell glyph, and the party is hit by a fireball, which at 18th level, a fireball is going to be an easy encounter, right? And so you can do that, right? So you can tightly couple, 3 or 4 easy encounters using a skills challenge as a delivery device for that, right? To build a story around it, so that you don't have to set up and move and use tactics on 3 easy encounters. You can build a compelling part of the story, right? So why do we? So that's one reason, right? Is that it from a technical standpoint, it is an efficient delivery device, right? So that's one reason I like it. The other reason, like I said, is it helps us actually adhere to the rules, right? Because now then we can take that 10 minutes that the skills challenge consumes, and we can build, and that 10 minutes is going to present the same resource tax and consequences as 3 or 4 easy encounters, right? So that's going to help us with that 6+ encounters in an adventuring day in that 4-hour session, because we're getting 3 or 4 easy encounters in a 10-minute span using a skills challenge. So the skills challenge actually helps us adhere to the 5th edition expectations of Adventure Day. Finally, and this is the big one. This is the thing. I remember Colville mentioning it, and I absolutely agree with it. And if this were the case, I might not use skills challenge. That is, it opens up the storytelling, right? So it is no longer the DM dictating, here's what this here's what this encounter looks like, and you have this narrow range of things to decide on. It completely makes it so it's like, okay, you're at the walls, you've got to get to the sanctuary of Torm in the heart of the city. What are you going to do? Tell me what your easy encounter is there, Bill. Tell me what your half-orc barbarian is going to do here. And let's narrate that easy encounter. We know what the effect is going to be, right? The party's going to suffer a fireball, right? So we know what the damage is going to be. We know, right? But I am interested in saying, look at your barbarian. Say, this is how he would help get the party to the sanctuary of Torm, right? And I just love that player agency. I love the fact that it dramatically shifts the storytelling mechanic to being much, much more player focused and giving the players agency over the direction and narrative of the story. and that it's not just the DM telling the story. I just love that. So that's why that we include a skills challenge in every adventure now. I think we might have missed one in the past year of the 100 or so that we've written in the past year. Maybe one of them didn't have a skills challenge. And it's also the reason that now the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking, oh yeah, I could totally do a really heavy skills entire module, right? With like 4 skills challenges and a couple of medium encounters, creature encounters. But anyway, that's a different thing. So that's how I reconcile it, Jim. I don't see that there's a lot to reconcile. I see skills challenges as a mechanism for efficiently delivering 3 or 4 easy encounters, and that actually helps me to align with 5th edition's expectations, and it's not a variation from them. I do appreciate the question. Even if you are not a fan, even if the attempt there was to challenge me and get me into a gotcha moment, that's a perfectly valid use of this channel, and I would encourage anyone who is of that inclination to post a comment below or send me an email. I'm all over the place. Dimgaard at gmail.com, or me directly at has.dan@gmail.com. You could even post comments, on Patreon or on the Kickstarters, and I'll get them there. So yeah, that'd be great. Thanks again, Jim. I appreciate the participation, even if you're not a fan. So at the very least, I'm going to try to get another one of these out. I've got like 3 other questions. Man, I hope they're not all 15-minute questions. I'm afraid they are, though. Thinking about them, I'm afraid they are. But anyway, so I'm going to try to get one of these out at least by Friday, maybe more so. All right. So again, thanks to all the backers of the Kickstarter. It's going on. It'd be great if folks would jump in there, and yeah. So thanks a lot.